Hello, it's Miss Nicole of Legacy Lineage Online Learning in collaboration with Youth on Fire, and I want to welcome you back. This is the parent snippet where I just want to address the stories that we will be reading this week. Parents, as many of you know, if you have been following me on any of my social media platforms, that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm going to say that again. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I have been, instead of posting pictures of the stories that we're going to read, I've just been posting lots of information about mental health awareness. I think that it is so paramount to the way we live our lives, especially right now as we are staying home, staying safe, and I like to staying sane. Staying home, staying safe, and staying sane. That looks different for many people, and I don't have time to break all of that open. As you know, I'm here to support you, and I want to really talk about mental health awareness and what that looks like in children. I believe that the gateway to having healthy mental health is how we help children deal with their social emotional learning. Again, social emotional learning is a gateway to positive and good mental health as you become an adolescent, a teenager, and an adult. So what we can do, and I always like to go back and reference the Connecticut Early Learning Development Standards to help children with their social emotional learning, is to show them and teach them caring, affection, the importance of healthy relationships, and safety and security. Again, I'm going to move this close to the camera so that you can see those standards. And then down at the bottom, there are tips, and maybe you want to pause this and take a second to maybe write out what those tips are for infants and toddlers, and then what that looks like for preschoolers. The stories that I'm going to read this week is almost an author study, and I'm just so thankful for this author, Kevin Hinkes, because most of his books are about mental health awareness in children, just the way he addresses it. Self-esteem, if you want to know what that looks like self-esteem and bullying, and maybe they have anxieties and worries that they can't express to us, that need to be addressed, and we don't know. I like to say that behavior is communication. So if we see children who normally don't bite their fingernails and they have developed this tendency to bite their fingernails, could it be a reason? Is it more to that behavior? What about children who normally are not fidgeters and they become fidgeters? Could it be a hint that they have something on their mind? It could definitely be nothing, but again, we don't want to always assume that the behavior is nothing. What about bedwetters? Children who maybe were fine before and now they are wetting the bed, or even having nightmares and scary dreams. There's so many images that children are seeing, and right now I'm aware that they're spending way more time in front of their screens. And so sometimes these little things that creep up can seem like they're not a big deal, but sometimes they can also be clues that there's something bigger going on. So I just want to call of Legacy Lineage Online Learning in collaboration with Youth on Fire to present story time. Before presenting story time today, I wanted to stop for a second and kind of just do a parent snippet on trauma. I know it's a word we hear often, and right now I must say that children may be feeling traumatized just by the inability to go out in society, by all the messages that they hear or overhear about COVID-19, health, the status of the world, the economy, seeing people walking around in masks, abruptly ending what is normal to them, their school year, and the ability to socialize and be with friends and have those times to have peer building relationships. So I just wanted to take a second to just touch on trauma. And trauma is defined as it occurs when frightening incidents or events and situations overwhelm a child or adults, and it affects their ability to cope or deal with what has happened. And these are also known as like ruptures. So if you're going about having regular day-to-day life and then there's this big event, traumatic event, and things happen, it is really looked at as being trauma if it affects your ability to cope, if you are overwhelmed, if the situation is a frightening event. And So I wanted to just touch base on that. I want to say we're not really talking about like small things like when David gets in trouble. You know, when a child gets in trouble at home, that's normal. That's considered normal. You know, we do need to teach them lessons and help them with their social emotional learning in that aspect, because they will keep going around about the same things over and over again, but they need us there to deliver messages of consistency and talk to them about expectations and behaviors in a way that they can understand. We don't want to be talking to 2-year-olds about being persevering, you know what I mean? Because that's really not a concept that they can grasp. But if we did need to talk to them about persevering, what could we say? Try again. You can do it. How might we encourage them in a way that they would understand? Again, this is something, Don't Hit Me is another story that I'm going to be presenting as well if I have not already presented it. But this talks about, you know, bullying can be a traumatizing event. This story right here encourages children to use their words to seek out adults for support so that they can better deal with the situation. Again, things happen in schools, in homes all the time. And if a child lacks the skill to be able to handle it, it can become overwhelming, but we can be there to support them. For parents, if you're dealing with trauma, it can affect children's behavior in ways that may be challenging for you. Some of the things that I've been just posting up as we stay safe, stay home, and stay sane are some movement activities and some yoga, some opportunities for yoga. I don't have my Hoberman sphere for me to grab, but a couple of them, those posts with yoga, I use the Hoberman sphere, which is just something I use as a visual aid to demonstrate how we take deep breaths and how we breathe in deeply. Some of my postings have also been just talking about and encouraging families to support young children. They don't always have the ability to use the words that they're looking for, so sometimes we see it in their behavior, and behavior is communication. If you see a child who is acting out often, you might want to try to find out what's at the root of it, because the behavior is just at the top. It's kind of like the fruit telling you that there's something going on at a deeper level. So I'm going to be presenting a story called The Bad Seed. It is about the concept of trauma. I love the way this message is delivered. You can sit with a child and this can open up many conversations. So please be looking for the posting on The Bad Seed. This is just the parent snippet to give a little bit of background for this story and how it can help you to talk about social emotional concepts and be able to be there to support your children. Books are an awesome way to do that. Sometimes there might be a concept that is a little out there, and maybe kids don't want to say that they've been bullied, but how can we sit down and make some time with them and maybe bring up a book that would open the door to conversations that need to be had. So again, be looking for the posting on The Bad Seed and Don't Hit Me, and there are several other titles that are out there. I am recording this at a time where this is Children's Book Week, and so I endeavor to be here for families to support you and bringing story time and activity time and motivational movement Monday as we are all staying home, staying safe, and staying sane. Thank you.